In the 1930s, Lego's company founder created a slogan that they operated by at that time, which roughly translates to, "Only the best will do." As you probably know, we really took a liking to this saying because most of us still live by it to this day. We've all heard it before and we've all said it before. Only the best school will do for me. I only want to go to the best restaurant. I'm only going to choose the best major or career. And the most common, only the best partner will do for me. But there's a problem. In modern society, we have an overabundance of choices. And with this overabundance of choices, a mentality of only the best will do will make us miserable. Now, there's no denying that having some choice makes life better and that having no choice makes life terrible. But where the problem arises is when we have too much choice. Psychologist Barry Schwartz made this point very clear in his book, The Paradox of Choice.
When people have no choice all the way on the left side of the graph, life is infinitely horrible. As you add options, life gets better and better and better and better. You cross from below neutral to above neutral. But you'll notice it's a curve. It's not a straight line, which means that there are diminishing marginal returns to increased choice. Going from no choice to some choice makes people's lives better, but a point is reached where the additional benefits have become very small and the negatives have become large, and at that point the curve changes direction. The negatives start to outweigh the positives as you keep adding options. And as you can see, you move people closer and closer to zero. And if you add enough options, you move people below zero.
There has never been more choice than there is today. But this abundant selection available to us is increasing our levels of anxiety and wasting our valuable time. While we usually tend to think a variety of choices will make us happier, I think we can all agree that we don't need 998 breakfast cereals to choose from. An article in Entertainment Weekly said that according to an annual survey conducted by cable network FX, there was a record 495 original series made in 2018. 495. That's more days than we have in a year. But having too many TV shows and serials to choose from don't really matter too much. But what about having too many choices when it comes to choosing a career or a major in college? How about having too many choices when it comes to picking a partner we want to spend the rest of our life with? These things affected by the paradox of having too many choices is a little more serious. In the 1960s, the average age to get married was around 23 for men and 20 for women. That number has just been steadily increasing over the years, and now the average is around 30 for men and about 28 for women. And this is no doubt in part due to online dating. If we ask someone what their ideal qualities in a partner are, they'll usually rattle off about 5 or 6 different qualities. Things like intelligence, a sense of humor, stable job, adventurous, etc., etc. But with the birth of online dating, we have millions of potential partners at our disposal. And this is especially true for women. When they sign on, they're bombarded with hundreds of messages. I mean, unless a woman wants to spend 8 hours of her day looking through messages, it would be impossible to find the best choice. And men are affected by online dating also. It's been proven that the stress caused by the amount of variety online dating offers is so large that the male brain reduces the decision to one single standard: physical attractiveness. When we scroll through matches, a woman's physical attractiveness is the only thing our brain can focus on in order to continue scrolling through all the options we have. And then because of this, we usually end up choosing a partner that doesn't fit the criteria we were originally looking for. A broader selection of partners tends to lead to poorer choices from both men and women in the partner they choose. Having too many options for a partner actually leads us to choosing a worse partner.
Because with unlimited options, why would you ever settle for anything less than perfection? Perfection may be one swipe away. More significantly, he thinks, because there are unlimited options, people don't expect to have to work to make their relationships great. Why work? There's always another person you could check out. When there aren't that many fish in the pond, people are willing to do the work. When there seem to be an infinite number of fish in the pond, people aren't willing to do the work, and the result is maybe more matches that are collectively much less satisfying.
In addition to having too many options causing us to make bad decisions, having an excess of choice also causes an inner paralysis where we really just get stuck and don't choose anything at all. And this is obviously most apparent in college graduates.
With graduation comes a commitment or requirement to make a commitment to walk through some door and hear lots and lots of other doors slamming closed. And they don't want to walk through the wrong door. And they don't know how to figure out what's the right door. And the result is a level of anxiety and discomfort.
When I graduated college and I knew life had to start, that was one of the most confusing times of my life. I didn't know what to do because there were so many different things that I could do. The more choices we have, the longer we think about which choice to choose. We always think which option would be the best option. And this causes us to go into a state of paralysis in which we choose nothing at all. And most of the time, life just kind of chooses for us, unfortunately. And another problem with having an abundance of choices is it makes us unsure of the decisions we do actually make. A good modern term for this is FOMO.
Perfect doesn't happen. And so what happens is you say, was this perfect? No. Well, could I have done better? If there are 5 options, you might well conclude, no, I couldn't have done better. If there are 25 options, you will almost certainly conclude, yes, I could have done better. And if you conclude that, you will regret the choice you made. When you choose things from a large choice set, you end up less satisfied than if you chose exactly the same things from a smaller choice set.
How can we be sure we made the right choice when 200 other options besides the one we pick exist? How can we be sure we picked the right partner when we had so many others to choose from? How can we be sure we picked the right career when there were so many other fields to pursue? The answer to this is we can't. The more choice we have, the more unsure and dissatisfied we get after making a decision. So what can we do about the paradox of having too many choices? What we have to do is think clearly about what it is we want before we inspect a career path or a potential partner. What do you want to get out of that job or out of that relationship? Write down what it is and then stubbornly stick to it. And also understand that we can never make the perfect choice. The only way to make a perfect choice is to go through every other option that exists, which is impossible. Instead, we kind of have to shift our thinking to starting to love the good enough choice. And yes, that also means in terms of life partners. It doesn't necessarily mean settling for less. It just means letting those small things go that annoy us every once in a while to focus on the important qualities that really matter to us in a relationship. Happy enough is a good enough choice.
Satisfies. What does it mean to satisfy? You don't want the best restaurant in California, in Southern California. You want a good enough restaurant. For some people, good enough will mean they have very low standards. For some people, will have modest standards. Some people will have high standards. But whatever your standards are, you will look until you find something that meets them, and then you will stop looking. And you will not worry that if you had kept looking, you might have found something better.
The only way to get rid of the chaos of choice is to artificially limit it. Just like people with good habits limit themselves by deciding up front what they'll have for breakfast, choosing to have a healthy breakfast automatically eliminates thousands of other choices. And we could do the same thing with our career choice and our partner choice. We have to limit our choices down by setting some rules and criteria about what it is exactly that we want. So as you can see, only the best will do just doesn't work anymore. We live in an age of almost unlimited variety. Now, the opposite of that is true. Good enough is the new ideal. Don't look for the best option anymore. Instead, go for the one that's good enough and save yourself the time and stress from the anarchy of having too many options. Barry Schwartz said, we can't say obviously that too many choices is a bad thing because we don't know the limits to that, but in some circumstances, having too many choices is a bad thing.
So when we decide, we're always worrying, did I think this over long enough? Did I take enough data into consideration? And if you think it through, you find you never could take enough data into consideration. The data for a decision in any given situation is infinite. So what you do is, you go through the motions of thinking out what you will do about this. And then when the time comes to act, you make a snap judgment.